Sometimes the internet is just too much, man. A comedian roasts a politician, or a president withdraws from a deal, and the internet becomes a shredder of opinions. Just about everyone will post or tweet what they think, and every news publication will publish their piece with just about as much opinion as fact. Sometimes it's so bad I have to stay offline for a day or two. It gets so exhausting and overwhelming that I start to become pessimistic about the world. This phenomenon is called information overload, and it's a common thing for a lot of people, especially today in the information age. You see, for most of human history, knowledge came from above, from the state or from the church or whatever authority. But about 500 years ago, during the Enlightenment period, thinkers began to realize that more people looking at a problem could give you better knowledge about it. Peer review is not a simple thing because humans do it, and wherever there are humans, biases get introduced, but it is still an extremely important concept because it creates checks and balances for bad knowledge going forward, and it creates accountability by allowing qualified people to judge each other's work. This is basically crowdsourcing of knowledge and is the essential core of scientific verification and democracy, which are two concepts that grew up in the Enlightenment period. And the internet is like crowdsourcing on steroids. With virtually no limits or accountability anywhere. Social media gives everybody what appears to be an equal voice. Before, the closest thing to the internet was the speaker's corner, where you could go and stand and yell anything you wanted, and if people wanted to stop and listen, they could, but if they weren't interested, they could go on their way. Now the internet has sort of turned everywhere into a speaker's corner and given everybody their own megaphone. Now, this is a beautiful thing in a lot of ways, but it has also created some issues. For example, let's take a look at the flat earth internet communities. Yes, these are actual people that believe the earth is a flat disk with Antarctica on the outer edges, and with online meeting locations, it is easier than ever for these people to find each other and surround themselves in an echo chamber, perpetuating the supposed findings of pseudoscience and denying the evidence from NASA, SpaceX, and every other space agency in the world. These are safe spaces for them, where they can remove any opposing comments and where users can be directed to all sorts of places that promote the echo chamber. These internet echo chambers are common all over the place, though, with anti-vaccination, homeopathy, conspiracy theories, and more recently, political ideologies. It's considerably easy now to surround yourself with feeds of info that verify your pre-existing biases and keep you ignorant to other facts. And a lot of websites do this by design, but the fake news that feeds these systems is nothing new.
Columbia Broadcasting System and its affiliated stations present Orson Welles in The War of the Worlds by H.G. Wells.
If you've ever heard of Orson Welles' War of the Worlds radio drama, then you've probably also heard that it caused mass hysteria and panic in the public. For those that don't know, War of the Worlds was this fictional performance played on CBS Radio in 1938. Creatively masqueraded as a genuine news report detailing a Martian invasion of Earth and systematic annihilation of the United States, all in a timely 60 minutes. The next day, the front pages saw reports of panics, riots, terror, and even some suicides. And as time passed, the War of the Worlds and the panic it caused has been mythologized into what is easily the most notorious broadcasting event in American history. But as it turns out, that panic never actually occurred. You see, in the 30s, the newspaper industry was doing pretty poorly, and they blamed it largely on the new fad radio. So after the War of the Worlds drama, newspapers all over the country saw the opportunity and sensationalized the panic in an effort to discredit radio as a reliable source of news. Fake news, plain and simple. Not that you should take my word for it. Check my video description. The thing is, these deceptive moves are completely justifiable. News companies aren't non-profit theater, they are advertiser-supported media businesses, and from a business perspective, the only thing that matters about the content you're broadcasting is how many viewers tune in or how many people visit your webpage. To a news company, the truth comes in a very distant second to profit. And now, with so many different news companies, each is trying to one-up the other one by prioritizing drama over fact. With 24-hour cable news and the internet, the results of these practices have created a highly saturated market of information. You can have bots like things until they are noticed by real humans, and you can have situations where something looks incredibly real but is in fact not real, and which will take off much faster than anyone can stop it. Last month, Britain, France, and the US retaliated on the Assad regime in Syria for once again using chemical weapons, and the next day, the Pentagon reported that Russian internet troll activity surged by 2,000%. Russia has been weaponizing misinformation in their own country for a long time, and they literally have these professional internet trolls working in office buildings. They started in their own country with praise of the Putin administration, fake praise, and their strategy of misinformation campaigns has become basically their new form of warfare. They see the political division in the US and they're trying to throw gasoline on the fire. That is extremely dangerous. A lot of people have begun to point blame at the sites that the trolls are using and demanding some kind of oversight for internet information, but Facebook and Twitter are just the battlegrounds. They can't be held responsible for the free speech happening within their platforms, and any kind of government regulation on free speech is an even worse idea. But while we're all over here trying to figure out who to blame, things are going to get much worse. Take a look at this.
President Trump is a total and complete dipshit. Now, you see, I would never say these things, at least not in a public address, but someone else would. Someone like Jordan Peele. This is a dangerous time. Moving forward, we need to be more vigilant with what we trust from the internet. It's a time when we need to rely on trusted news sources.
So yeah, digital recreations of public figures that are indistinguishable from the real thing. This is inevitable. How could anybody possibly know if they're watching a real person talking or a digital fake? How will the news companies know? Someday, there will be a news network that mistakenly broadcasts a digital fake of a president or a politician, and there will also be public figures taking advantage of this, claiming that real footage is in fact digital fakery. Jordan Peele said that our only best hope is reliable sources of news, but my point here, if there is a point, is that there is no sole reliable source of news. The media is not a singular entity. The fourth estate is composed of numerous individuals and organizations, each trying to meet their own goals, whatever they may be. So when it comes to the details, especially the consequential ones, it is very easy to skew them either on purpose or not. However, the internet has made it significantly easier to verify information on your own. So if a news anchor says something that you find far-fetched, you should Google it. Always question authority. No idea is true just because someone says so, including myself. Gotta think for yourself, man. Question yourself, and remember that you could be wrong. These are the sorts of ideals that grew up in the Enlightenment period, and they undermine the appeals of fanaticism and ignorance. How we interact with this abundance of data will determine the course of our future, because one thing is for certain: the information age is just getting started.